And that breaking news now from Milwaukee, where we now know the man police killed in Red Arrow Park suffered from mental health issues. 31-year-old Dontre Hamilton was diagnosed with schizophrenia.
He was engaging in behavior in the park yesterday that caused concern and prompted police to intervene. An officer approached him, and that is when police say a struggle ensued. Fearing for his life, the officer fired his gun, shooting and killing Hamilton. Police Chief Ed Flynn says we are not doing enough for the mentally ill.
What's happening here is part of a national problem, and our governmental officials can no longer be allowed to ignore it in the name of saving money or lowering taxes. This is not a tax and spend issue. We have a moral obligation to the mentally ill.
Chief Flynn acknowledges the system failed Hamilton and continues to fail people who suffer from mental illness. Flynn called on all areas of government to address what he described as a mental health crisis. Now, as we just heard from Chief Flynn, the mental health issue can be a chronic crisis some places.
The Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel has reported in depth on this issue. We're joined now by Meg Kissinger, who has reported on the Milwaukee County's mental health system for quite some time. Now, Meg, we have the chief pointing out the situations officers have been in, and that they feel this is also a crisis. Not surprising to you, of course.
No, it's not surprising. It's sadly very familiar. Do you know, 2 years ago, police officers from Milwaukee traveled to Houston to take a look at a situation very similar to what has happened here yesterday. And in Houston, they set up a division, a mental health division of police officers trained in mental health care who are paired with psychologists who go out on these mental health calls. Chief Flynn has had a proposal on his desk for 2 years to develop exactly that kind of unit here in Milwaukee, and they've yet to do that.
If Dontre Hamilton had been taken into custody yesterday, what would have happened to him? Would he have just been checked out quickly and then put right back on the street?
Well, that's what history shows. Not necessarily. I mean, it would depend on a lot of things, but I mean, I wouldn't be able to say that with any authority. But typically what you see in Milwaukee County is people do cycle through and they come back. And what our reporting showed this last year was that, you know, some people come back as many as 10 times in a 30-day period. They're really working hard to try and address that, but that is the reality.
So we know that there are all these problems with treating the mentally ill. We've got lack of funds, lack of space, but you're saying that it kind of falls on the greater community, where the police department has to step up and do some things as well, and you know, maybe all of us in a sense.
Well, there's a lot that we can all do, and one of the things we can do is very simple. By stop referring to them as the mentally ill, they're people with mental illness, and that's you know, I know that sounds small, but it goes to a point of mind, you know, the way that we approach people who have cancer, people who have heart disease, people who have mental illness. And we all need to learn how to treat people with mental illness in a more compassionate and understanding way.
Meg Kissinger, thanks so much for joining us from the newsroom downtown this afternoon and your insight.